First contact. The ice sheets of Europa stretched endlessly before Commander Sarah Chen as she guided the submersible Nautilus deeper into the moon's vast subsurface ocean. 3 years of preparation, billions in funding, and humanity's first permanent base on Jupiter's ice-covered moon had led to this moment. The signal they detected 2 months ago still pulsed steadily, its rhythm unchanged since their instruments first picked it up. Depth 15 kilometers, reported Dr. James Martinez, his dark eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. Bioluminescence increasing by 40%. Sarah nodded, adjusting their descent angle. The waters around them had begun to take on an ethereal blue-green glow, unlike anything their previous probes had detected. Columns of light rose from the depths like underwater skyscrapers, their surfaces rippling with patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Recording everything, confirmed Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their xenobiologist. Her fingers flew across multiple screens as she captured data from every instrument. These light patterns, they're organized. Too organized to be natural. The Nautilus's powerful lights seemed dim compared to the bioluminescent structures that now surrounded them. They had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing could have prepared them for this, an alien metropolis hidden beneath Europa's ice. Movement at 2 o'clock, James announced, his voice tense. Large signature approaching fast. Sarah's hands tightened on the controls. Their submersible was built to withstand Europa's crushing depths, but they had no way of knowing what else lurked in these waters. The object drew closer, its own bioluminescence pulsing in complex patterns. "It's slowing," Yuki whispered. "Look at the light patterns. They're changing." The creature, or vessel, Sarah wasn't sure which, came to a stop 30 meters from the Nautilus. It was roughly cylindrical, perhaps twice their length, with transparent sections that revealed intricate internal structures. What appeared to be fins or appendages moved with liquid grace, holding it stationary in the current. Picking up electromagnetic signatures, James reported. They're trying to communicate. Sarah activated their own external lights, programming them to pulse in a simple mathematical sequence. Prime numbers, humanity's traditional first contact greeting. The alien vessel's bioluminescence shifted, matching their pattern before expanding it, completing the sequence. "My God," Yuki breathed. "They understand." The alien vessel began to emit new patterns, more complex ones that their computers struggled to analyze. Shapes and symbols formed in the water between them, created by precisely controlled bioluminescent particles. "Running it through the linguistics package," James said. "Wait, these patterns, they're forming 3-dimensional pictographs. The computer's starting to decode them." Sarah leaned forward, watching as the alien symbols coalesced into recognizable shapes. A representation of Europa, then Earth, then what appeared to be a star map. But the final image made her blood run cold, a massive object heading toward their solar system. "They're not just saying hello," Sarah realized. "They're trying to warn us." The vessel moved closer, its transparent sections revealing forms within that were both beautiful and utterly alien. Humanoid, but with features adapted to aquatic life, large, luminous eyes, gill-like structures, and skin that rippled with its own internal light. "Meridians," Yuki said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "That's what we should call them. They've built their civilization around these meridian lines of bioluminescence." The Meridian vessel extended what appeared to be a docking apparatus, its intention clear. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing her own mix of fear and excitement reflected in their faces. Everything humanity knew about its place in the universe was about to change. "Well," Sarah said, managing a smile as she initiated their docking sequence, "I guess we're about to make history." She paused, watching as the Meridian vessel's airlock aligned with their own, and possibly save the world. The warning. The Nautilus's docking procedure with the Meridian vessel proceeded with unexpected smoothness. Sarah had anticipated challenges connecting their human technology with alien systems, The Meridian's engineering seemed to anticipate and adapt to their needs. As the airlocks synchronized, a shimmering membrane formed between the vessels, allowing passage while maintaining pressure integrity. "Atmospheric analysis complete," James announced, checking his instruments. "The membrane is generating a transitional environment. It's making the space safe for both species." Sarah activated the ship-wide recording systems. Everything that happened next would become part of humanity's historical record. "Let's make first contact," she said, trying to keep her voice steady despite her racing heart. The membrane rippled, and 3 Meridians emerged. Up close, that alien nature became even more apparent. Standing roughly 2 meters tall, their bodies seemed to flow like liquid crystal, internal bioluminescence pulsing in complex patterns. Their large, multifaceted eyes reflected the Nautilus's lights, and what appeared to be translucent fins extended from their arms and backs. The lead Meridian raised a hand in what was unmistakably a greeting gesture. Its skin rippled with patterns of light that the ship's computers began translating in real time. "We welcome you, Earthborn. We had hoped your species would reach us before they arrived." "They?" Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer, remembering the ominous image they'd been shown. The Meridian's lights shifted to darker hues. The harvesters. They moved from system to system, consuming all in their path. "Your world will be their next target." Yuki stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial caution. "How long do we have?" "By your measurements, less than 1 Earth year," the Meridian responded. "We have watched your species' development from our sanctuary beneath Europa's ice. You have advanced quickly, but you are not yet ready to face this threat alone." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "Tell us everything." The next few hours were a crash course in galactic history. The Meridians, they learned, had once inhabited multiple star systems before the harvesters forced them into hiding. These planet-sized entities consumed resources and biomass indiscriminately, leaving dead worlds in their wake. The Meridians had discovered Europa's subsurface oceans centuries ago, using their biotechnology to build a hidden civilization. "Your nuclear weapons, your conventional forces," the Meridian leader, who introduced itself as Luminarch, explained, "they will be useless against the harvesters. But we believe that together we might find a way." "What makes us different?" James asked. "Why help us?" Luminarch's bioluminescence pulsed with what their translators interpreted as appreciation. "Your species possesses something rare: adaptability. We have watched you overcome countless challenges through innovation and determination. More importantly, you understand something that few species truly grasp: the power of harmony." "Harmony?" Sarah questioned. "Your music, your art, the way you combine disparate elements to create something new," Luminarch explained. "The harvesters operate through discord, consuming and destroying. But together, our technologies combined with your creative thinking, we might develop a defense." The Meridians shared their biotechnology data, showing how they had developed their bioluminescent systems into tools for communication, construction, and defense. Their entire civilization was built on principles of biological adaptation and energy manipulation. "We need to contact Earth immediately," Sarah decided. "They need to know what's coming." "There is more," Luminarch cautioned. "The harvesters are not mindless destroyers. They will send infiltrators first, gathering intelligence, sowing discord. Your world must unite, quickly and quietly, or it will fall before the main force even arrives." Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the weight of this responsibility in their eyes. They had come to Europa seeking knowledge, but instead found themselves carrying the fate of Earth on their shoulders. "How do we begin?" she asked. Luminarch gestured, and the membrane between their vessels widened. "First, you must understand our ways. Then we will learn yours. Only together can we create something new, something the harvesters have never encountered." The next several days were a blow of information exchange. The Meridians shared their biotechnology, showing how they had evolved their natural bioluminescence into sophisticated tools. Humanity's digital technology, in turn, offered new ways to process and apply this knowledge. "Look at this," Yuki exclaimed one evening, showing Sarah a simulation. "If we combine their bioluminal communication with our quantum computing, we could create a defense network that spans the entire solar system. No ship, no matter how large, could approach undetected." James had made his own breakthrough, working with the Meridians to understand their pressure adaptation technology. "We could retrofit our existing spacecraft with their membrane tech. Imagine ships that could withstand any environment, that could repair themselves." But it was Sarah who first recognized a larger potential. Watching the Meridians' light patterns, she noticed how they created interference patterns, zones where their bioluminescence cancelled out other energy signatures. "What if," she proposed to Luminarch, "we could turn your entire defense system into one massive interference pattern, not just for communication or detection, but as a weapon?" Luminarch's lights pulsed with excitement. "Yes, yes. The harvesters operate on precise frequencies. If we could generate the right counter-frequency." The pieces were falling into place, but time was their enemy. Every day brought the harvesters closer, and they still had to convince Earth's governments to unite against this threat. Sarah knew that some would deny the danger, others would panic, and still others would try to use this crisis for their own gain. "We should begin with the scientific community," she told her crew as they prepared their first transmission to Earth. "Show them the data. Let them verify our findings. Once we have their support, the politicians will have to listen." As she recorded her message, Sarah felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Everything would change once she sent this transmission. Earth would never be the same. But as she looked at the Meridians working alongside her crew, she felt something else too: hope. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Europa expedition," she began, "and I'm about to tell you something that will change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. But more importantly, I'm going to tell you how humanity is about to prove itself on a galactic stage." Preparation. 3 months after first contact, Europa Base had transformed into humanity's most advanced research facility. The ice-covered moon buzzed with activity as ships arrived daily from Earth, bringing scientists, engineers, and military personnel from every major nation. What had begun as a small research outpost now served as a front line in humanity's preparation for war. Sarah stood in the newly constructed Harmony Chamber, watching as human and Meridian scientists worked side by side. The massive spherical room featured walls lined with bioluminescent panels, merging human quantum computing with Meridian light-based technology. "The neural interface is ready for testing," Dr. Tanaka announced, adjusting the sleek helmet in her hands. The device represented a breakthrough in human-Meridian cooperation, a way for human minds to directly interpret and control bioluminescent signals. "I'll do it," Sarah volunteered, stepping forward. They had simulated this countless times, but actual neural connection with Meridian tech remained untested. She caught Luminarch's encouraging pulse of light as she seated herself in the testing chamber. The helmet settled over her head, its interior surfaces cool against her skin. Bioorganic tendrils, developed from Meridian tissue, made contact with her neural ports, another new technology born from their collaboration. Initiating sequence in 3, 2, 1. The world exploded into light and sensation. Sarah gasped as her consciousness expanded, suddenly able to perceive the complex patterns of bioluminescence that the Meridians used for communication. It was like gaining a new sense, as if she'd been deaf her whole life and could suddenly hear music. "Commander Chen, can you understand me?" Luminarch's thoughts came not as words, but as intricate patterns of light and meaning. "Yes," Sarah responded, her mind automatically translating her thoughts into corresponding light patterns. "It's beautiful." "Neural integration stable," James reported from his station. "All readings nominal." "Commander, try accessing the defense grid." Sarah focused, reaching out with her newly enhanced senses. The defensive network they'd constructed throughout the solar system appeared in her mind like a vast web of light. She could feel every satellite, every sensor array, all working in perfect harmony. "This is incredible," she breathed. "I can see everything. The asteroid belt, Jupiter's magnetic field, it's all connected." But then something else caught her attention, a disturbance at the edge of her awareness. "Wait, there's something out there, beyond Neptune." The room fell silent. Luminarch's lights pulsed with concern. "Show us." Sarah directed the defense grid's sensors toward the anomaly. The data streamed through her neural interface, resolving into a clear image that projected into the Harmony chamber. A cluster of objects, moving with purpose toward the inner solar system. "Scouts," Luminarch confirmed grimly. "The harvesters send them ahead to assess their targets. We have less time than we thought." Sarah disengaged from the neural interface, her mind racing with implications. How long? 3 months, perhaps 4. They will observe first, probe our defenses. General Zhang, the newly appointed commander of Earth's Unified Defense Force, stepped forward. "Then we have 3 months to prepare every surprise we can. Commander Chen, how soon can we begin mass production of the neural interfaces?" "The fabrication facilities are ready," James replied. "With the Meridian's biomanufacturing techniques, we can outfit our first wave of pilots within weeks." The next months passed in a blur of preparation. Shipyards around Earth worked around the clock, retrofitting vessels with Meridian technology. The asteroid belt became a network of automated defense platforms, each powered by hybrid human Meridian systems. Most importantly, thousands of volunteers underwent neural interface training, learning to merge their consciousness with the new biotechnology. Sarah threw herself into the work, pushing her neural connection capabilities to their limits. She discovered that each human processed the Meridian biotech differently, contributing unique patterns to the overall defense network. It was exactly the kind of adaptability that Luminarch had seen in humanity. "Look at this," Sarah demonstrated to the Joint Command Staff one day. She interfaced with the defense grid, pulling up a simulation. "When we combine multiple human operators, each adding their own neural patterns, we create interference waves that the harvesters can't predict. It's like improvising jazz, but with quantum-enhanced bioluminescence." The breakthrough led to the development of Harmony squads, teams of neural interface operators working in concert to generate complex defensive patterns. Traditional military doctrine was rewritten around this new paradigm of synchronized consciousness and light-based warfare. But not everything went smoothly. Some humans rejected the neural interfaces, their minds unable to adapt to the alien technology. Others became almost addicted to the expanded consciousness it provided, losing themselves in the light patterns. Each challenge required new solutions, forcing human and Meridian scientists to innovate constantly. "We're changing," Yuki observed one evening as she and Sarah watched a group of interface trainees practicing light pattern generation. "Not just our technology, but our species. This partnership with the Meridians is pushing human evolution in new directions." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of these changes. "Let's hope we're changing fast enough." The warning came on a quiet Tuesday, 6 months after first contact. Sarah was deep in neural interface communion with the defense grid when she felt it, a massive disturbance in the outer system. She quickly called an emergency meeting in the Harmony chamber. "They're here," she announced, projecting the sensor data for all to see. "The main harvester fleet has entered the solar system. Hundreds of ships, larger than anything we've ever seen." Luminarch's lights pulsed with determination. "Then it is time to show them that they have underestimated both our species." General Zhang activated the worldwide alert system. "All defense forces to battle stations. This is not a drill. Operation Harmony is now in effect." As alarm klaxons sounded throughout Europa Base and across Earth, Sarah took her position in the central control sphere. Around her, other neural interface operators linked into the defense grid, their combined consciousness creating a symphony of light and energy that extended throughout the solar system. "Remember your training," she broadcast to all operators. "We are humanity's first line of defense. Everything we've worked for comes down to this moment." The massive harvester ships approached like dark stars, their energy signatures distorting space itself. But Sarah felt no fear, only determination. Humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this moment, and they had surprises that the harvesters couldn't possibly expect. "All Harmony squads, prepare for first contact protocol," she ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The invasion begins. The first harvester attack came without warning. A massive energy surge rippled through the defense grid, overwhelming 3 sensor arrays in the Kuiper belt before anyone could react. Sarah felt the loss like physical pain through her neural interface, but maintained her focus on coordinating the response. "Harmony Squad Alpha, reinforce the Jupiter perimeter," she commanded, her thoughts translating instantly into patterns of light. "Squads Beta through Delta, prepare for counter-wave deployment." The massive harvester vessels moved with impossible grace for their size, each one larger than Earth's moon. Their surfaces rippled with dark energy that seemed to devour light itself, a stark contrast to the bioluminescent technology of the Meridian-Human Alliance. "They're probing our defenses," Luminarch observed, its light patterns tight with tension. "This is not their full strength." Sarah watched through the combined sensors of the defense grid as the first wave of smaller harvester craft approached the asteroid belt. This would be the true test of their preparations. "All squadrons, execute Pattern Omega," she ordered. Across the asteroid belt, hundreds of neural interface operators synchronized their consciousness. The defense platforms they controlled began emitting precisely calculated interference patterns, merging human creativity with Meridian light technology. The effect was beautiful and deadly, waves of coherent energy that rippled through space like aurora borealis. The first wave of harvester scouts hit the interference field. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then their energy signatures began to fluctuate wildly. Several smaller craft simply winked out of existence, their matter conversion drives disrupted by the harmonic interference. "It works," James shouted from his monitoring station. "The interference patterns are disrupting their core systems." But their victory was short-lived. The larger harvester ships adjusted quickly, their surfaces shifting to absorb and redirect the interference patterns. They were learning, adapting. "All stations, modify frequencies," Sarah commanded. "Randomize the patterns. Don't let them predict our emissions." The battle for the outer solar system lasted 3 days. Human Meridian forces fought with everything they had, using their combined technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. The neural interface operators pushed themselves to the limit, many working until they collapsed from exhaustion. But the harvesters kept coming. "We've lost contact with the Saturn defense ring," General Zhang reported grimly. "They're pushing through our outer perimeter." Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing. The harvesters' adaptation rate was faster than they'd anticipated. Each successful defense tactic worked only briefly before the enemy adjusted. They needed something new, something unexpected. Then she noticed something strange in the sensor data. "Look at this," she called out, highlighting a section of the display. "When multiple Harmony squads generate conflicting patterns, the harvesters have trouble compensating. It's like they can't process discord." Luminarch's lights pulsed with sudden understanding. Of course, they operate on principles of consumption and conversion, everything reduced to its simplest form. Complex, contradictory patterns confuse their systems. "All squadrons, new strategy," Sarah broadcast. "Break into pairs. Each pair generates opposing interference patterns. Make it as chaotic as possible." The effect was immediate and dramatic. Where ordered interference patterns had merely inconvenienced the harvesters, this cascade of conflicting signals sent them reeling. Several of the massive ships collided with each other, their navigation systems thrown into chaos. But the success came at a cost. The neural interface operators weren't trained for this kind of discordant generation. Many reported severe headaches and disorientation. Some began bleeding from their noses. "We can't maintain this level of discord," James warned. "The human mind isn't meant to generate chaos patterns for extended periods." He was right. Even as Sarah watched, operators began dropping offline, their minds overwhelmed by the strain. The harvesters, though temporarily confused, were already beginning to adapt to this new tactic. "Fall back to Jupiter's orbit," she ordered reluctantly. "We need time to regroup and develop a new strategy." As the human Meridian forces retreated, Sarah felt the first real seeds of doubt. They had bloodied the harvester's nose, proof they could hurt them, but victory still seemed impossibly far away. The enemy's ability to adapt seemed limitless, while their own forces were already showing signs of strain. In the Harmony chamber, Sarah disconnected from her neural interface, her head pounding. "We need something more," she said to Luminarch. "Something they can't adapt to." The Meridian leader's lights pulsed thoughtfully. Perhaps we have been approaching this wrong. We have been trying to match their strength, to overwhelm them with power. But you humans have shown us another way." "What do you mean?" "Your art, your music. They contain both harmony and discord, order and chaos, all working together. What if instead of trying to overpower the harvesters, we tried to sing to them?" Sarah stared at the tactical display, watching the massive enemy fleet regroup for another assault. "Sing to them? They're trying to destroy us." "Yes, but consider, they have never encountered anything like human creativity combined with our bioluminescent technology. They adapt quickly to patterns they understand, but human art follows rules they cannot comprehend." Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected," James announced. "They're beginning their push toward the inner system." Sarah looked at the display, then at Luminart, then at her exhausted crew. They needed a miracle. Maybe it was time to try something crazy. "Get me Earth's primary cultural database," she ordered. "All of it. Music, art, literature. And find me every neural interface operator with artistic training." "What are you planning?" General Dong asked. Sarah managed a tired smile. "We're going to show the harvesters something they've never seen before. We're going to throw the full weight of human creativity at them, amplified by Meridian technology." As her crew rushed to comply, Sarah reactivated her neural interface. The approaching harvester fleet loomed in her enhanced consciousness like a storm of darkness. But this time, instead of meeting them with mere technology, they would face them with the full spectrum of human expression. "All forces, prepare for Operation Symphony," she broadcast. "And someone get me Mozart." Turning point. The Harmony chamber had been transformed. Where once there were only military personnel and scientists, now musicians, artists, and composers sat alongside neural interface operators. Their unconventional weapons, instruments, drawing tablets, and centuries of human cultural expression converted into light and energy. Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor, translated into quantum-enhanced bioluminescence, ready for deployment, announced Dr. Elena Rossi, their newly appointed cultural warfare specialist. A former concert pianist, she had quickly mastered the neural interface's ability to convert music into complex energy patterns. Sarah watched the tactical display as the harvester fleet approached Jupiter's orbit. They had one chance to make this work. "Begin transmission on my mark," she ordered. "All Harmony squads, prepare to synchronize with the cultural feed." Luminarch's lights pulsed with anticipation. Remember, the goal is not to overwhelm them, but to introduce patterns they cannot reduce or consume, human creativity in its purest form. Operation Symphony commencing in 3, 2, 1, mark. The first movement of Mozart's symphony erupted through the defense grid, transformed by Meridian technology into waves of coherent light and energy. But this was unlike their previous attacks. Where before they had generated simple interference patterns, now they broadcast the full complexity of human musical expression. Every note, every harmony, every subtle variation translated into multidimensional patterns of light. The effect on the harvester fleet was immediate and dramatic. "Their formation is breaking down," James reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "Energy signatures becoming erratic. They're trying to adapt, but the patterns are too complex." Sarah watched through her neural interface as the massive ship struggled to maintain cohesion. The harvester's matter conversion technology seemed unable to process the intricate mathematical relationships in Mozart's composition. When they tried to absorb the energy, they instead began resonating with it, their surfaces rippling in time with the music. "Add Beethoven's Fifth," Sarah commanded. "Layer it with traditional Chinese aru music. Let's show them the full spectrum of human musical expression." Elena's team complied, weaving together classical Western orchestration with Asian string instruments, African drums, and Australian didgeridoos. Each addition made the light pattern more complex, more unpredictable, more fundamentally human. The harvester's response was chaos. Several of their smaller ships began to break apart, their matter conversion drives overloading as they tried to adapt to the ever-changing patterns. The larger vessels retreated, attempting to regroup. "It's working," Yuki exclaimed. "But look, some of them are already starting to stabilize. They're learning to ignore the musical patterns." Sarah had expected this. Time for Phase 2. Dr. Rossi, initiate the visual arts program. Across the defense grid, neural interface operators began transmitting new patterns, the swirling chaos of Van Gogh's Starry Night, the geometric precision of Islamic art, the fluid motion of Chinese calligraphy, all converted into interwoven patterns of light and energy. "Layer in modern art," Sarah ordered. "Abstract expressionism, cubism, digital art, everything. Don't let them find a pattern to adapt to." The space between Jupiter and Mars became a canvas of humanity's artistic expression, each new addition making the pattern more complex, more uniquely human. The harvester ships that had begun to adapt to the musical patterns now faced an entirely new form of attack. But Sarah knew they needed more. "Final phase," she broadcast. "All operators, prepare for direct consciousness streaming. Share your stories, your dreams, your emotions. Show them what it means to be human." Through the neural interface network, thousands of human minds opened up, sharing their experiences, their hopes, their fears. Love, loss, triumph, defeat, the full spectrum of human emotion translated into light and energy by Meridian technology. The effect was beyond anything they had imagined. The harvester fleet, faced with this tsunami of human consciousness and creativity, began to fragment. Their rigid, consumption-based systems couldn't process the sheer variety and depth of human expression. "Their primary vessels are losing cohesion," James reported. "Matter conversion drives failing across the fleet. They're retreating." The massive ships that had threatened Earth began to withdraw, their surfaces still oscillating with the echoes of human creativity. As they retreated, however, something unexpected happened. One of the smaller harvester vessels broke formation and approached the defense grid, its energy signature changing. "They're transmitting," Luminarch announced, its lights pulsing with surprise. This is different from their normal communication patterns." Through the neural interface, Sarah felt it, a response to their transmission of human creativity. Not an attack or an attempt to consume, but something else, an attempt to understand. "They're trying to communicate," she realized. "Not to destroy or consume, but to learn." The retreating harvester fleet paused at the edge of the solar system, as if waiting. The single vessel continued its transmission, crude attempts to mimic the patterns of human music and art. "Did we just teach the harvesters art?" Elena asked, incredulous. Luminarch's lights pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as joy. "You have done more than defeat them, humans. You have changed them." In all our encounters with the harvesters, no species has ever managed that. Sarah looked at the tactical display, watching as more harvester vessels began attempting to generate their own patterns, mimicking the human transmissions. Maybe that's what they've been looking for all along, she mused. Not just energy to consume, but meaning. Purpose. Something beyond mere existence. This changes everything, General Zhang said quietly. Not just for Earth, but for the galaxy. Sarah nodded, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. They had done more than save Earth. They had potentially transformed an ancient enemy into something new. As she watched the harvester ships attempting to create their own art, she realized that humanity's greatest weapon had not been technology or firepower, but their capacity to create, to feel, to share their inner worlds with others. Send a response, she ordered. Show them we're willing to teach them, to share our creativity, if they're willing to learn. As the first notes of a new symphony filled the space between Earth and the stars, Sarah smiled. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of a new movement in the cosmic symphony. Victory and beyond. 1 year after the Battle of Jupiter, Sarah stood in the newly constructed Galactic Cultural Center on Europa, watching as humans, Meridians, and reformed harvesters collaborated on what they now called light symphonies, massive artistic displays that combined music, visual art, and consciousness into expanding waves of bioluminescent energy. It still amazes me, Luminart said, its lights pulsing gently beside her. In all our years of fighting the harvesters, we never imagined that the solution wasn't to destroy them, but to transform them. The former harvester ships, now stripped of their matter conversion weapons, had become living art installations, their massive hulls serving as canvases for collaborative works between the three species. What had once been engines of destruction now generated spectacular light shows that could be seen from Earth's surface, drawing millions of viewers each night. Professor Chen, a young voice called out. Sarah turned to see one of her students, a promising neural interface operator named Maya, rushing toward her. The harvesters have finished their first independent composition. They want you to experience it. Sarah smiled at the term harvesters. It hardly seemed appropriate anymore. The beings they'd once feared had evolved into something entirely new, taking the name the Enlightened to reflect their transformation from consumers to creators. Following Maya to the main chamber, Sarah activated her neural interface. The sensation of connecting to the network was familiar now, like slipping into a warm pool. The Enlightened's composition filled her consciousness immediately. It was stunning. They had taken everything they'd learned about human creativity and meridian bioluminescence and created something entirely new. The pattern combined mathematical precision with raw emotion, structured harmony with wild improvisation. It was both alien and deeply moving, a perfect expression of their journey from destruction to creation. Remarkable, Dr. Rossi whispered from her station. They've developed their own artistic language while incorporating elements from both our species. It's like jazz meets quantum mechanics meets bioluminescent poetry. But the exhibition was more than just art. It represented the success of what many now called the Cultural Integration Protocol, the systematic sharing of human creative expression that had not only stopped the invasion, but had led to a revolutionary transformation in galactic society. General Zhang is here, James announced, interrupting Sarah's contemplation. He says the council is ready. Sarah nodded, disconnecting from the artistic feed. The Galactic Council meeting would mark another milestone in this unprecedented journey. As humanity's primary representative, she would help shape the future of three-species cooperation. The council chamber was a marvel of combined technology. Meridian bioluminescence provided both lighting and real-time translation, while reformed enlightened ships maintained a stable quantum field that allowed instantaneous communication across vast distances. Human artistic influences were evident in the chamber's design, merging function with beauty. Commander, excuse me, Professor Chen, General Zhang greeted her. Like many military leaders, he had adapted to the new reality where cultural exchange had replaced military confrontation. Ready to make history again, Sarah took her place at the triangular council table, joining Luminarch and Nexus, the enlightened representative. The latter's massive form had been reduced and refined, their once consuming darkness replaced with swirling patterns of light that rivaled the Meridian's bioluminescence. The Council recognizes this historic session. Luminarch began, its lights pulsing formally. We are here to discuss the establishment of the first tri-species cultural university. The proposal was ambitious, a learning institution where all three species could study each other's arts, sciences, and philosophies. The main campus would be on Europa, with satellite locations throughout the solar system. The enlightened fully support this initiative. Nexus communicated through patterns of light. We who once sought only to consume now understand the power of creation. We wish to learn, to teach, to share. Earth's nations have unanimously approved the project, Sarah added. The cultural and technological exchange has already revolutionized fields from medicine to space travel. This will accelerate our progress exponentially. The meeting continued for hours, working out details of the unprecedented cooperation. But Sarah's mind kept returning to that moment a year ago, when human creativity had first broken through the harvester's consumption-driven existence. It had proved something she'd always believed, that art, music, and human expression were more than just entertainment. They were fundamental forces that could reshape reality itself. Later that evening, Sarah stood with her original crew, James, Yuki, and Elena, watching Earth rise over Europa's icy surface. Through the station's quantum-enhanced windows, they could see the massive shapes of enlightened ships in orbit, their surfaces dancing with collaborative light symphonies. "Did you ever imagine," Yuki asked, "when we first detected that signal under the ice, that it would lead to all this?" Sarah shook her head. "I was just hoping to find microbial life. Instead, we found a way to transform the galaxy through art and creativity." Speaking of transformation, James said, checking his tablet, "The first human Meridian hybrid children are doing well. Their ability to generate and control bioluminescence is unprecedented. And the Enlightened's matter manipulation technology, now that it's been refined for creation rather than consumption, is revolutionizing space exploration," Elena added. "We'll be able to reach other galaxies within decades instead of centuries." Sarah touched her neural interface, feeling the constant flow of creativity and consciousness that now connected three species. Humanity had not only survived its first major galactic crisis, it had turned potential destroyers into partners, enemies into artists. "So," she said, smiling at her friends, ready to see what we can create next. The answer came not in words, but in a spontaneous burst of shared consciousness through their neural interfaces, human emotion, meridian light, and enlightened energy combining into something new and beautiful. Above them, the light symphony continued, a testament to the power of human creativity to transform the universe itself. The end.